Ruby Velvet Yuzu Cheesecake, a luxurious combination of red velvet cake with raspberry jam and a cold set yuzu cheesecake base. Yuzu is a Japanese citrus fruit and you're going to be seeing it on so many menus now. It's very, very on trend and it has a delicious tangy, lemony, tangerine, lime type flavor and it works beautifully complementing all the elements in this cheesecake. So I have my red velvet cake that I baked yesterday and I just stored it in the fridge, that's why I've got some cling wrap over the top, but we're just going to take this out now. So you want to take your 18 centimeter ring form and basically what we're going to be doing is cutting about 5 millimeters smaller than this size. So we're going to go in, you can actually just cut it this size and then trim it. I often find that that can be a little bit easier. With that beautiful red color. And you want to save those scraps, don't throw those away. Now we want this circle a little bit smaller, so I'm just going to trim it down about 5 millimeters or half a centimeter smaller. Now the next thing that we want to do is I have some vegan melted chocolate here and we're going to do a nice thin layer on the top and this is going to be the base of our cake so it won't stick to our cake board. So just spread that all over. Now we're going to take our cake and flip it over onto a mat with some baking paper or a silicone mat. We're going to add some raspberry compote to our cake and just spread a nice even layer over the top. Okay, so now we're going to transfer this to the freezer for a few hours for everything to firm up before we assemble our cake. So with our leftover gluten-free red velvet cake, I've just broken it up and we're going to put it into the oven now at a low temperature for about 30 minutes just to dry it out before we turn this into a nice crumb for decorating our cake. Now that our red velvet cake has cooked and it's nice and dry, it's ready to turn it into our crumbs. So just add it to a food processor and pulse until it's fine. If your cake is really dry, you can add a few drops of water just to rehydrate it. I just transferred to a container or a bowl, seal and transfer into the fridge until you're ready to use it for your desserts. So now that we have our cake prepared in the freezer and it's nice and frozen, we are going to be working on the yuzu cold set cheesecake base. And I have a ring mold here. I'm using an 18 centimeter mousse ring. And underneath that, I've just got a silicone mat. I find it just works well because it won't slip around as much. And just a board, I'm just using a chopping board, or you can just use a tray, just something that's going to fit into your fridge. So we are going to cover the base of our mousse ring with some cling wrap. Once you've got a nice even base, We're going to have that onto our silicone mat, and we can set this aside whilst we create our cheesecake layer. So now we're going to be whipping our vegan whipping cream to stiff peaks. Now we have nice stiff peaks on our whipped cream, and set that aside. Now in my bowl here, we're going to add our remaining ingredients. So those being our vegan cream cheese, and I'm using an almond cream cheese today, but you can use the soy one from your dashboard, or you can use any commercial-based vegan cream cheese. To that, we're also adding some salt, a little bit of sea salt, some confectioner's sugar, some vanilla, some lemon zest, and the star of the show, which is our yuzu juice. So yuzu juice, as mentioned, is a Japanese citrus fruit, and I actually got this from an online Asian grocery store, and I know that it can be a little bit pricey. However, because the flavor is so strong, we're using very, very small quantities of it. So a little goes a long way. And it has these beautiful, tangy, citrusy, grapefruit, tangerine-like flavors that really accentuate the flavors in this particular cheesecake, going very well with our red velvet cake and those raspberries. So we're just going to beat all of this together until that sugar is nicely dissolved. Now that's all mixed up nicely, we're going to add a small amount of this base recipe to our whipped cream and just fold that through. And just continue adding your base a little bit at a time, folding through until everything is incorporated. So now our base is ready. We are going to pour into our ring mold and fill it 3/4 of the way full. So I've just pulled out my red velvet cake with that raspberry marmalade on top. We're going to flip that over so the chocolate is facing up on top of our cold set cheesecake base, and we're going to press down until they match up. Now we want to just level off our cheesecake. Give it a little tap. And now we can transfer to the refrigerator overnight. So I've just taken my red velvet cheesecake out of the fridge, and we're going to put it onto our cake board. I'm just putting a little bit of glucose on there so it will stick. So just take that plastic off. I'm just going to very carefully go around the edge a little bit, just to loosen. Beautiful. Now I'm just going to put that cling wrap back on top. It doesn't need to be perfect. I just want it to kind of sit on the top. So we're just exposing the sides of the cake. And we're going to cover the sides of our cake with our cake crumbs. sides covered in our crumbs, we can take off that cling wrap on the top. And we can start decorating the top of our cake with our stable whipped cream topping. So now those little divots that I created, I'm going to fill it with our yuzu curd. And you can pop that into a piping bag, or I've just put them in these squeezy bottles because you can also use them as like a serving sauce as well. Now I've got some raspberries here that I want to use, and our raspberry marmalade, I strained the seeds out and I've put it into, again, either a squeezy bottle or into a piping bag. And I'm going to pipe a little bit into the inside of the raspberry, like so, and then we can place that onto our dessert too. So there you have it, guys. I would recommend to put this into the refrigerator for at least an hour or so, just for everything to set up before cutting and serving.